What was my life like 10 years ago when I started this business? Well, when I started this business, believe it or not, we were homeless. We had just lost our house in a fire, having a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old, losing everything. It was a lot to deal with. It was very stressful, and I knew I always wanted to start my own business, but it was because of the fire and because of being homeless is what really lit a match under me. I was working for a company at the time, and that company, while I'm watching my house burning, literally on fire, and the fire hydrants are frozen because we live in the Midwest, and three different, maybe even four different fire department coming out and could not put out the fire because the fire hydrant was frozen. And it was that moment as I'm watching my house burn to the core is then I picked up the phone and I called the people that I was working for, one of the ladies that owned the company. And I called her and I said, I'm so sorry. I am not going to be able to make it to work tomorrow. And she says, well, why? What's going on? Because I'd never really been a person that called off or missed work for any reason, no matter what's going on in my life. But this was a very good reason to not be at work, as I, didn't have any clothes. Like I said, we ran out of the house with just the clothes on our back, no shoes. I was managed to get the little one a winter coat as, we're coming out of the house. But when I made that phone call and said to her, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it because my house is on fire. And her response was, what? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it to work because my house is on fire. She said, are you joking? I wouldn't joke about something like that. It was literally like after midnight, between 12 and 1 a.m. in the morning. And, a friend once said to me, don't have expectations of people and then you won't get disappointed. I was expecting things to go a certain way, a little bit more sympathy, or someone to say, hey, I didn't have insurance. I didn't have paid time off, sick leave, or any of those things. And that's one of the reasons why I never missed a day at work, because if I missed a day at work, I wasn't going to get paid. So I decided that, even in my mind, thinking how I would be towards someone, be a little bit more sympathetic or even empathetic to that person's situation, to see what all I can do to assist them. And I was expecting, again, my expectations were that, hey, take a few days off, you're going to need some time to get yourself together. Don't worry about it. Just come back when you feel comfortable, or let me know when you're ready to come back. But none of that really happened. And I gather sometimes that when people are in tough situations, they don't know how to respond or what to say. Maybe that was going on. But how I felt on the other side of things was, man, this person really don't care about me. They don't really care about my situation. They did help out a little bit in terms of, getting us clothes, which was really important because we needed clothes. But no time off. I think let's just say maybe the house burnt down on a Thursday. I was back at work on that Monday as if nothing happened. And it was then I realized that maybe in my own world of what I had going on, that I felt unappreciated at that time. In everything that I had going on, it was that moment that I felt like I needed to find somewhere else to be, or start my own business, to be a little bit more sympathetic and empathetic to the people that are helping you grow your business. When I gathered all the paperwork, put everything together, got my policies and procedures, and literally parked it on the side because the fear of starting a business really sat in with me. Now, mind you, I had started several businesses, but I'd never had to quit and leave my job to go and start this business. So I was jumping in feet first to ensure that I was going to be successful in this business. But I didn't do that. I kind of parked it on the side, went through the steps of, starting a business. And oh my goodness, it was one foot in, one foot out. It was like, do I really want to do this? I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about home care, but going to school for business administration, it's different when you're going to school for business. but it's also different when you actually have to run a business. All the books, all the paperwork, everything you've read does not come close until you actually have to put your foot in and get the work done. And so I was going to go into business with someone because I really didn't believe in myself. And when I'm getting ready and filing the paperwork and everything, and I'm online and I'm reaching out to the guy that I was going into partnership with. And as I'm filling out the paperwork and he says, "Oh, by the way, I'm not going to go into business with you. I changed my mind." I say, "What?" I'm texting back, "Okay." And he proceeds to text and say he really doesn't feel comfortable with moving forward with me. And I'm not really sure. Maybe he felt like I was just going to be the person sitting on the sidelines and maybe didn't have, the finance to invest because maybe the talk sounded good, but maybe he felt like I wasn't ready. But needless to say, I cannot say what he was thinking at that time. I can only go according to what was said to me via text message. And it was in that moment when I felt really sad and I wanted to just jump back out both feet. And I just was saying to myself, "Oh, forget about this. I'm not going to do this." And my husband was sitting right there. And I said, you'll never guess." He says, "What?" And I said, "Well, I'm not going into business with anyone," because he just backed out. He was like, "Sharon, you don't need anybody to go into business with you. You've been doing this for a long time. You know what to do. You're already running a business like it's your own, and people think it's your own because you're the face of the company. But needless to say, you don't need anyone." And of course, the lack of confidence and the fear that I had in stepping out on my own, at that point, it was like, you just lost everything. What else do you have to lose? You know, material things, that is. I still have my family, which I'm very thankful for and appreciate my husband being by my side and talking me through this whole process, because I don't think I would have done it without his encouragement or believing in me, for me to believe in myself. So submitted the paperwork, again, second guessing myself. And, once I submitted the paperwork, it was then I knew that I had to keep moving forward. I know I couldn't turn back. I just couldn't do it. Not from everything that I had just experienced. So it definitely, coming out of being homeless and not believing in yourself, maybe about 3-4 months later, I realized that I had put on 20 pounds from just being sad and depressed and eating hamburgers at 10 o'clock at night and not feeling any way about it, and just feeding my depression and my sadness. And my husband bought me this very beautiful suit, which I still have today. And it's a really very nice pantsuit that he bought me. And he came to the home that we were put in by the insurance company. He says, "I bought you a suit." And I said, "Oh, great. Let me try it on." Because remember, we just had a fire. It didn't have much clothes. The clothes that we had was given to us. And that's what we were wearing. Clothes that the church had, put together, and their parishioners had put together for us. So I was really excited that this suit, which was my favorite color, was green. It was pinstripe, has gray pinstripes. It's very light stripes in it, but it's a very beautiful suit. Fits me really, really nice. But when he bought me that suit, I could not, my thigh wouldn't, one single thigh would not go in that suit. And instead of being further depressed, it just made me chuckle, and laugh at myself. And it really made me get out of the funk that I was in. Although it took me a long time to get out of that suit, I still have the suit and I still wear it because it reminds me so much of the struggles that we were going through at that time. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't usually get emotional as I am talking about it. All right. Um, okay. No matter where you are in your caregiving journey, whether you're just starting to organize or you're deep in the day to day, you shouldn't have to carry that burden alone. I want to invite you into a supportive space where you can get the community and clarity you deserve. You have two great options right now. First, Connect with fellow professionals and caregivers by joining our Give a Care LinkedIn group. It's a free space designed for us to connect, share experiences, and learn from one another. Just search for our group on LinkedIn or use the quick link in the show notes. Or if you're looking for resources delivered straight in your inbox, be sure to join for our free newsletter. It's where I can share tips and guidance, podcast episode updates, key takeaways, and what you may have missed. You can sign up right now using the link in the show notes. I see you, and you're not alone. Now let's get back to this week's discussion. What has been a major challenge or a setback that, now my husband and I have faced in this business, in this industry, period? It was very difficult to establish ourselves as home care business owners. It was still early on when we first started our business. It was still early in the scene. It wasn't as heavily populated with home care companies now like it is. Now, there were very few companies. I wouldn't say few, but the way now how everybody's opening up a home care company, it wasn't this many home care companies. And you could really go on the website and, find a company. It was because we didn't have a name. We're not a franchise. So that was one of the biggest challenges, is that we are not a franchise. We are independently owned and operated. It was bootstrapped with savings, and started this business, not pay ourselves because it was tough to get clients. And the clients we did have, I think we were charging so little because we were trying to be a client to everyone. And now we understand that we're not a client. We're not everybody's not our customer. And it took us a while. In fact, it took me a long time to understand that not everybody is my client. And when you're starting your business from the bottom up, and you're in business to make money, let's not make any mistake about it. You're in business to make money. So don't fool yourself. And that's one of the things that I did early on, was thinking that everybody was my client, and I was going to lower my prices to meet someone where they were at financially. And that was the biggest mistake that I could have made for myself, my family, my business, and the people that worked for us. Being Black, being woman, being foreign, I think all of those things played a role in how our company grew. Because when I was working for someone and it was clear that I was working for someone, it was not a problem. But the minute I set foot out and I'm the owner, it was some issues for a whole lot of people. And I believe in fairness. I believe in building relationships, because in building relationships, you get to learn whether or not that person is someone that you want to refer or give business to. When I meet people, I tell them instantly, I don't want you to just refer my company because I'm asking you. I really want for you to get to know who I am, how we do business at Right Choice Home Care. And then if you feel good about referring us, then refer us. Don't just refer us because I'm asking you to. Get to learn who we are, what we stand for, what our mission is at Right Choice Home Care. And again, if you feel good about it, then refer us. So one of the biggest things that I learned is not everybody's your client, number one, and don't change your prices to adjust to somebody's financial status. If they can't afford your services, they just can't afford your services, because having an overhead and having a staff to pay, it becomes an issue down the road, because then you'll find yourself having to adjust to, if somebody's asking you, hey, I can only afford this much. Oh, I can only afford this much. Imagine if you did that for everyone, what would happen to you and your business? So it took me a minute to learn that, but here I am today, and I feel good about that. Feel good about where we are. Why am I choosing to share my experience now through this podcast? Is because I have learned so much about caregiving. And if I didn't mention this before, I was a caregiver at the age of 18, but I really didn't like and appreciate caregiving at that time. It's because I was forced into it. And I said forced into it because when I turned 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do. My mom took me out to breakfast on my birthday, August 24th. And she sat me down and she said to me, "You're 18 today. What are you going to do with the rest of your life?" I froze for a second and I said, "Heck, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm having for breakfast." So she says to me, "Well, until you decide, this is what you're going to do." And she put me into a situation where I was caregiving. And a lot of us know sometimes that when you are made to do something, you don't totally appreciate it, or it's something you're rejecting the idea and the thought of doing that very said thing because you're being told what to do. No one likes to be told what to do. And so that was my experience going into home care or providing care for someone. But after that experience, I decided I wanted to go and be a CNA. I went to CNA school, and then I decided I wanted to be a nurse because I wanted to do a little bit more. And I still call myself a nurse wannabe. I think, for a lot of reasons, because I think nurses do a lot more than they get credit for. Not all nurses, okay? Let me just make that clear. But if you're a nurse or you were a nurse, I thank you for what you've done. I thank you for the work that you do, and I thank you for the work that you continue to do. And so, because I have learned a lot about caregiving, about healthcare, about families, and what set families back from providing the proper care to their loved ones, I want to share with my audience who choose to come and listen to this Give a Care podcast to understand that what I'm sharing with you is years and years of knowledge and experience that you may not get anyplace else, coming from someone who has been in home care and now owns a home care company. It is my duty, I feel, to give you that information, provide you with the knowledge so you can properly care for your loved ones. Because what we see in the home care industry, and maybe not every company will do this or, take the opportunity to educate you, but at Right Choice Home Care, it is our job to provide you with information so you can make an informed decision on what that next move is going to be for your loved one, whether they're in a hospital, whether they're incapacitated, whether they have dementia or no cognitive impairment at all. You need to know what to do next and not wait until your loved one is in the hospital on that bed where that hospital nurse or that discharge planner is saying you need to make a decision now, knowing that you don't have a clue about what to do next. So that's what I want to do. I want to help you navigate your way through the healthcare system, understand what your rights are, and provide the proper care for your loved ones, because we all need guidance and we all need direction, especially when it comes to home care. The one key takeaway that I hope our listeners get to take away or hear in listening to the Give a Care podcast is understanding that you're not alone through this process. And there are plenty of resources out there for you and your loved one to navigate your way through the healthcare system, and knowing and understanding what's right, what's wrong, and know that you are your loved one's advocate. And we are here to help you navigate your way through that process. Now that you've heard my story, it's time for your roadmap. We dive straight into the first two pillars of my signature GIVE framework. G for get grounded, and I initiate support. I'll show you how to start with clarity, not chaos, and immediately begin building the essential support team you need. Don't wait. Hit play on episode 2 now.